Checking in. Twitch is in. And YouTube is lagging behind as usual. Alright, it's connected. Let's test the chat. And we're in on. Yay, looks like everything's up and running. Let me know, as usual, if there's any issues with audio, etc, etc. Welcome to live stream. Today's live stream, Code Hangout number 88, where we're going to work on the puzzle listings. But before we get started, there's a couple of minor issues I want to check, and I'm trying to get the puzzle under my butt. Puzzle. Pillow. All P words are now puzzles. All right. So we have two things. One is this one, where I realized there was an issue with line transparency in beta. So let's check this one out. And let's get rid of the show scene cells feature. Yeah, so these lines do not look right. And I think it's the same on beta. Yeah. So that's not closed, right? And then if we go to SudokuPad to app, let's shrink this a little. And I believe, I thought the lines would be more visible here. Huh, wait a second. Let's check this out on CTC. app.crackingthecryptic.com. I'm not using this long domain for hardly, so Sudoku / yeah. No, it's the same here. I thought it was better here. Let's just reset that. It's the same. But I felt it's gotten worse. It definitely got worse than it used to. Do I have a way of running the old version? Yes, I do. We have a second repo. We have CTC app, and then we have CTC app 2. And here we can probably just go back to before this was released, or even just way back. I don't know. Let's go one. Yeah, all right. Let's go here. Let's just go to this version here. We have uncommitted changes. All right, these are just comments and stuff. I probably was debugging something. All right. Why is it still claiming these are changed? Well, just reset. Okay. All right, let's go to this version. And we now want to be able to test this. Run serve. Oh, that's SudokuPad. Nope. Want to check this one. I guess we can run this. We can run production, just so it's on a different port, basically. And that should give us a second copy. Oh. Actually, this was the older stuff. So it should be the same as this, but on port 5001. Hey, Chameleon, how you doing? Good evening. Huh, I could have sworn I saw it somewhere and it looked better. Because, I mean, you know, either way, this is pretty terrible. I'd like to fix that. But I was hoping that it was just a regression. Now I'm not so sure anymore. What if we go further back? What if we go further back? Are we on CTC2? Yeah. I don't know. April? I mean, that was definitely before I made any of the... before I made any of the color updates. Because I think this was part of the fog feature. Because I changed some of the way the layers were rendered for colors. And I think you know... Not that it messed up, it's just that, you know, some things don't work the same way anymore. No, apparently that was always the same gray and it was always a problem. Okay. So then I'm wondering why James Sinclair chose this. Let's have a look at the newsletter. Why is that not in my history? I don't remember which version this was in. Ah, here we go. It's the latest one. All right. Spoiler alert, this is James Sinclair's newsletter at artisanalsudoku.substack.com. So the nice... Yeah, it looks significantly different here. I wonder if this is from... I mean, there's an unshaded version. Maybe this is a screenshot from F-Puzzles. Ah, that's why he does his screenshots from F-Puzzles. So he probably didn't even realize. The problem is I can't even do an outline on these lines. I could as glows, but those could be expensive. Let's have a quick poke at that. Because that's quite bad. I've done letter outlines before, but for text I think it works different because text has a fill, right? These lines are that's just a stroke. SVG outline for stroke. Yeah, that's basically the question, huh? Paint order stroke. Line join round stroke. Similar question, which actually creates an outline effect instead of a stroke. Stroke? Black. Yeah, I mean, the problem with shadows and stuff, I've noticed the performance is pretty bad. Excuse me. Yeah, for text, it's one thing. SVG to the rescue. Stroke width. Okay. Let's have a little poke at this. So in this case, if we look at these lines, let's maximize our space here. These lines will be in here, arrows, I guess. So we'll have something like this, right? So if we go into style, arrow, anything referencing arrow? No. Anything referencing path? No. SVG. Okay. Yeah, I need to split this file out so we have all the board stuff and can. Yeah. So for example, we have border tools. Okay, here we got the tools candidates. Let's try it here. So if we do SVG path, the thing is we only want to affect paths that don't have a fill. And these specify fill none. So we could do something like this, I imagine. And then if we throw something like this in, I don't actually know what happens. Let's find out. This might just be... Oh! Ah, yeah. You see, we wouldn't want the dashed outline of cages. So we probably just would want the arrows layer. Arrows. And I need to come up with some sort of prefix. SVG renderer, I guess. The problem is, yeah, you don't necessarily want to prefix them all with an ID at the beginning. Also, it looks thicker in one direction. -1, minus... Because there's only 4. Let's see. If you want... Yeah, I think you'd want these all to be 1, right? And then you kind of have all the options. And the outline would have to be basically one of the theme colors. So we probably want the background color. Let's see, styles, Sudoku, colors. Oh my god, this is so small. My eyes, my poor eyes. Yeah, body BG basically, right? In the future, that probably should be, there should be like a board background as well. Kind of something like that. So it would disappear when it's, yeah, I don't know. Let me ask James if I can use the screenshot. Because it's, you know, I think it's a paywalled puzzle, so he might not like it. Maybe just a wider line on background. What do you mean? The problem is I don't want to have to modify the actual DOM. To add a second line would mean I have to actually change my render. While this can be done with a style sheet, which is very easy to modify with a setting, you know. Otherwise, I'd have to actually modify the code, which is always more prone to potential bugs. This might cause problems for actual arrows, although it shouldn't. It might not be too bad. I was just going to ask James. Because that would be a super small change. And I think for the lines layers, this would be okay. Because when I tried the outlines on text, the problem was if you could, you know, I could do this. And suddenly I'd have hundreds and hundreds of individual text elements. And then rendering shadows on those literally made it take like a second to do anything. Second line. Yeah. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's like basically redraw all the lines with a slightly thicker stroke with a different color. And under certain circumstances, that might be the best choice. You have more control. But right now, I don't trust my renderer. The code is not complex enough to make these kind of changes easy. Because it doesn't really know what it's rendering right now. You know, it's kind of very dumb. In the future, if you have a smarter renderer, like it knows it's rendering a line feature or arrow feature or something, and you can modify them specifically, it might be better. So I'm just gonna post this in the Discord channel. There was also somebody, I think it was in a Cracking the Cryptic video comment where I think Simon had trouble seeing an arrow. Let me see. It was very recent, like the last one or the one before. Maybe this one. Ah, no, I think it was this one, actually. And then somebody suggested, oh, you know, we should have a generic outline feature. So it might work for that as well. I'll just bring it up because I'd like to test if this particular way of doing it would be enough to make it go. So in other words, if I now, let's say I color these in some sort of clashing color. One problem I have is that the 1 pixel line thickness, the shadow thickness, is not actually, it doesn't scale. So while the line changes the white outline... No, it does change. Okay. That feels strange. 1 pixel... Because... Yeah, no, there shouldn't be. It should be okay. This looks strange to me because the line thickness is given in pixels. And I don't know how that translates to SVG units, because in the SVG scale, each cell is 64 across. And you see, like, the line thickness doesn't seem consistent. Like, between here and here, it seems to jump. Look at that. From here, super wide, and now I go a little smaller. Even like, what the heck is going on here? So if I go here, look at that. What the heck? Oh my god, okay. How do I get rid of this magnifier? Let's have a quick look. SVG CSS drop shadow units. Because I don't know if there's a way of telling it to using the SVG units rather than, you know, although I think SVG units are basically pixel. Shadow performance. Like, I don't know, for example, if the SVG drop shadow versus the CSS drop shadow, which one would be better? It's just very expensive filter inherently using drop shadow or an image so that the pixels of the shadow are only drawn once. Is it possible to set drop for SVG using CSS3, something like this? Yes. Drop shadow. The other problem is because there's so many of them. There's 4 just to give it a full amount of coverage. Another problem is you see it'll insert a gap because the white outline around the arrowhead intercepts the line, even though the arrowhead is part of the same object. The problem is the arrowhead. You see, it's just a singular. Wait. Yeah, it's a singular line, but it uses an arrowhead marker, which gets its own shadow. So it's not considered... This is another thing. I should really write an algorithm to draw the arrowheads directly, because currently I'm relying on the markers. And each of them have their own. But in reality, I should just draw the extra 2 line segments, you know? I just have to do the maths for the arrowhead. Because it takes care of the orientation and I don't have to do the trigonometry. I was just lazy when I implemented that. Let's have another go at this. What if we do a singular drop shadow at 0, like without offset? Like this. And then have it give it some sort of spread. What does that look like? Because I think the last numerical argument. So MDN SVG filter drop shadow. I think this is what we're looking for. Offset blur radius color. So if the offset is 0, 0. Shadow blur, especially the larger the value, the larger and more blurred the shadow becomes. If unsplit defaults to 0, resulting in a sharp unblurred edge. What if I make it 5? Like, I don't know if it, right now, I don't even know if it exists at all, because I'm not seeing anything. What if I just create a bunch of these? I probably need a semicolon here. I don't think these need spaces behind them. You know what? Because I figured the second filter overrides the first one, but I'm not even sure of that. Ah, okay. And if I just have the one? Okay. And if I make it 1 pixel? I don't like it because it's a bit fuzzy. The advantage of this is it's only 1 drop shadow, while this method requires 4 to make it really sharp. If we add just 2 instead of 4, The thing is, it still will look a bit fuzzy. I mean, it still makes it more visible. It just gives it that weird glow effect, you know? What if I make this half a pixel? This is actually not, the green is a terrible color because it doesn't actually make the arrows hard to read. And I think, what if we do this? One of these grays is going to make it hard to read, right? I think it wasn't even a gray. I mean, this gray is pretty bad. What if we go to the other version that doesn't have it? And we'll try again. Actually, none of these are too bad. This is terrible once it's selected. So if we select it, yeah. So the arrow is still definitely readable where before it wasn't. So that might be enough. 1 second. Patient chat has been running more than a few solvers have finished one of the snake puzzles in the app and is telling them the solution is showing. Casually keep track like an iPad version puzzle. Alright, I'll have to look into that separately. Hey, Rockred Zero, if you're watching. Is that something? I don't know if that's behind a paywall or if I can check it on streams. I don't actually know. So the outline, this outline effect definitely makes them better to see. Now, I currently have an outline effect for outlines on digits. Let's see which setting that affects. 1 sec. Outlines on digits. Outlines on digits. Digit outlines, right? Oop. Let's just search. So we have these here on 466. 466. So if I take all of this out for a second here, let's go to this repo. We have an extra blank line here, fair enough. And then we go to 466, which is very close. So we have this. So we could roll it into the existing setting, right? So we could do something like this. And it would only affect paths on the arrow layer that have a fill of none. So it wouldn't necessarily affect everything. In fact, yeah, it doesn't affect the bulbs, right? Let me see. So the bulbs, I think they're actually not on that layer either. I think they're on underlay. Yeah, they're on underlay. They have a fill. So if something has a fill, it probably doesn't need that. Because even if the outer edge isn't visible, you know. Alright. I won't check it out now. I'll check it out later. If elements that should drop a shadow are wrapped into one parent element, then the shadow effect could be applied to this parent element, and the scale would be definitely the same for all. Yeah, I don't think I can do that, though. Because of the structure of how things work. Alright, 1 sec. Let me try this. So this should now be controlled by the settings. So if I change... So, you know, that would have the benefit of me not having to add another setting once again. So if I now say outlines on digits off. So I think I kind of like that because it would just... not an additional setting and so on. Now, if we take away the path filter here... it still generates the outline, right? It looks different now, though. But it removes the gap that it generated in the arrow. I don't know if that is a rendering benefit. Like, I don't know if it now renders one drop. Like, if it basically draws all the children and then just one filter on it all. It could be a lot more performant. I wonder if that's not what I did originally with the text stuff, though, and then had a performance problem. And it would be hard, you know, unless you have... Like, I'd have to make a test puzzle with 1,000,000 lines. Like, I'm seeing, you know... You see the stutter, and I see on my CPU graph... I see it pop up just when I'm resizing, but the resizing has always been a performance issue because, if we change this to, like, there's so much other stuff happening. Yeah, it's still stuttery, like, it's still bad, so it's kind of, I mean, resizing is not something that should happen very often, so it's not really a big problem. It's the only problem is because when I did it with the digits, because it's redrawing when you're doing this, for example, and suddenly the selection was lagging behind the mouse, which was terrible. Also, the selection shouldn't have gaps in it. Like, this shouldn't happen. I thought I had fixed that. Okay, so I kind of like this. I don't know if we need the 4 to get a full pixel all around, or if this, 2 staggered half pixel ones are good enough. Like the blurry look, I'm not a fond of it. Like, I don't like the blurry look. And I think the body background, yeah, this seems a little harsh, right? And it gets very chunky very quickly. What if we create a variable like root outline thickness? Is that how we define them? Like this, and that's gonna be 0.5 px. Because I don't know if that works with the negatives. You see? If I do var outline thickness like that, and like that, and then we'll do 4 of these, and then positive, negative. We might have to calc these. The negative, negative, space, 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 space. We do this, right? Would that work? Probably not. Yeah, I thought so. So this doesn't work. The question is, why does it not work, right? If I remove the negatives, it probably works. Yeah. You know what? We're gonna ask my new friend, JetGPT, about this. If I need a negative version of a CSS variable, can I just prepend a minus sign? And I know the answer is no. It says it's yes. Without creating a new variable. I want to reuse the existing variable, but negate it. Yep. Negative var. This does not seem to work. Yeah, if it has px in it, which value of the variable is not a numeric value per minus, I will not create. If it has px units, it says it does. I mean, I know I can use called negative my. Yeah, it's going back to creating a second variable, which is not really what I want. So it says if I did this, it should. Now this obviously right now we have outlines, right? And if I add these, they disappear. They're gone. And if I look at the styling, let's have a look at arrows. At this filter. It doesn't not like it. Because I was thinking, what if I remove the px from here? and then add it back in over here. Like if I put px here, I don't know if you can composite, you know, if it just basically does a string concatenation there. Whoops. Oh god. All right. Yeah, you see that doesn't work either. Now, what should work for sure is using calc. So if I do -1 times this, that should work, right? Yeah. So if I just do that here. Oh my god, what a pain in the butt. What pain in the butt. And then these two. And then align these here. Awkward. And add some spaces here. So if I do that, that should work, right? Oh, we have a spammer. And we want to block. And add to block list. Is that spammer gone from YouTube and Twitch? That's the question. Ooh, 1 sec. Nope. So we want to block them from here. I use on this channel report. Unknown commercial content spam. Report. Okay. And I'd use it on this channel. And remove. Do I have to remove each individual one? Alright, do you guys still see the spam anywhere? Well, they really don't care. Alright, so if I refresh this now, that looks wrong. Positive, negative, 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 positive, positive. I have the right... I feel like I have the right numbers. Maybe I didn't save it. My blindness issue is coming back right now, which feels really strange. Like I'm slowly losing vision. Let's hope this doesn't get worse. This looks fine. On 0.5, it didn't look correct. -1 times 0.5. Look at that. In CSS, can I use calc to multiply something with px units? Let's see what ChatGPT has to say. All right. Toby's still in the bedroom? I'm a bit worried if he sleeps so much. All right. See you later. And message me, you know, when you're ready to head back. And all right, let's see. Different units perform mathematical operation on them, such as additions. I don't know how if I should add the px units outside. I was just thinking I could put the whole shadow into a variable. All right, you know what? I'm wasting time because all I really wanted to do was save myself time when I wanted to change this. And I've really kind of done the opposite. I've made it slower to change. So I'm just going to go back to here. Go all the way back to here. Because if I want to change it, I'll just change it here. And it'll be faster. So that's a 1 pixel, but it goes kind of wonky at certain sizes where it suddenly jumps up. I think it kind of rounds to the nearest pixel or something. Which also might be the reason why at fractional pixels it doesn't work very well. And it might have worked better when blur wasn't 0. And I think there's somewhere I have rendering set to crisp or something. So the whole thing might be a bit of an issue. Yeah, that's why. So it kind of rounds them to a different... like to the nearest pixel or something. And probably what's happening is the negative gets rounded up and the positive gets rounded down or whatever. So the negative 0.5 becomes -1, but the positive 0.5, you know, if I make this 0.55, that might do that. Oh, my vision is getting worse by the second. This is really bad. Yeah. All right. So 0.5 is probably a no-go. Unless, maybe, if we have a very small blur radius, maybe it just softens it enough and changes the rounding a little bit. And doesn't do the hard exact render. Yeah, no. All right, so our option is we do a 1 pixel that kind of rescales in weird ways like that. Which isn't too bad, it just gets a little chunky. Or we do something like this with a 0.5 pixel blur radius. And it's kind of very subtle and soft. I mean, if I make it 1 pixel, it'll probably... Yeah. I don't know, actually, if I do this, the exact same one multiple times, if it knows to kind of just overlay that image multiple times, or if it re-renders it. So, And if I don't do this... and add some kind of blur radius to these guys... like if I do this... what does that look like? I don't like the fact that it looks like a glow, because it draws more attention to itself, because nothing else uses that glow effect. It looks like something the user is supposed to pay attention to. What if we add alpha? What if we add alpha? The problem with adding alpha is that I don't think I can use this that var. How can I modify the alpha of a CSS color stored in a variable? I think if you want to render it multiple times, then copy paste it inside the same filter prop, not add a second. Not sure what you mean, because here it is in the same filter property. This is just me experimenting with two different ones. This is commented out. The other one was, I just don't have to comment out the first one because the second one overrides it. All right, ChatGPT is busy. Let me think. There is, let's let Google have a crack at this. How to change alpha of a CSS color. Because I know there's like the HSV function. This doesn't work, does it? Component blazer CSS for linear gradient. BG image light dark transparent 100%. That you want to apply a hover effect on. Var. In root or parent, set CSS variables. Background image. No. SVG filter alpha. I wonder if there's like another filter element we could add to change the alpha of the whole filter. No. CSS filter alpha. Is there an opacity filter? Does it affect other things? So maybe I can do something like opacity. My vision is getting worse and worse and worse. It's starting to get really hard to see stuff, which is kind of a problem. Ah, that works. That works. In shadows, but worth trying. So if I do this, maybe with something like 0.8, then it's not as harsh. And if we go back to 1 pixel now, instead of the sort of faint, it won't be as strong of a glow effect, you know? Nope, no, not 0.5, 0. Oh, my vision. We can go maybe a bit further down on the opacity. I mean, it's not gonna make it more performant, that's for sure. And I think there's some colors that are kind of similar in tone, where people struggle with the gray. Like purple, I think, was a problem. Orange, no. Red, no. Blue? Blue, I think, used to be a problem. Right now, my vision, I can barely see, so right now, everything's a problem. I think purple is actually pretty bad. So let's try purple. We're trying purple already. Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes it more visible. And on these simple arrows, it's not as big of a deal. And on these, it kind of works as well. So, yeah, I mean, it definitely rescues these lines completely. I mean, it transforms this puzzle, that's for sure. So, I think I kind of like this. This works pretty well. And, I mean, it's, you know, it's ready for sitting in alpha for a while, or in beta for a while, and being tested. And then if there's any major issues, we can always, you know, get back to it. So if I do this, and it becomes part of the settings outlines setting. So people who are going to use this already are used to having outlines for other stuff. I mean, these are super subtle, actually. Let me see. I don't even remember what color they were for. Black, maybe? Probably. Oh, does the opacity apply to the lines? That's a good question. Well, I guess if I make it 0, whoops. If I make it 0, it would make the lines disappear, right? Yep, it does. Ah, you're right. Yeah, we don't want that. Here. Apply filter alpha. Apply alpha only to filter and not to element. Not to filter. Not to, you see, it's really bad at parsing those kind of questions. Google is how can I apply alpha to a CSS filter, but only the filtered pixels, not the stroke, not the element as a whole. Yeah, I guess the alpha filter. My God, what's going on with the chat? It's like it's gotten super slow in the evenings. I think the problem is that lots of people are using it this time because the Americans are using it. In the morning, it works perfectly fine. From 0 to the filter function. Element. This means, yeah. I want to apply the alpha, the opacity, only to the drop shadow added by the filter, not the element itself. I mean, I guess one way of doing it would be to clone the element somehow. Duplicate it, basically, and then have a second version of it just for the thing outline. So then the question becomes, once again, how do I modify an existing CSS color? CSS, how to change alpha in of a CSS color stored in a variable. This is something I kind of needed so many, I would like to use in so many different ways. Oh. RGB from. How? RGB from. CSS RGB from. The thing is, if it doesn't work like on every browser, I'm kind of okay with that. So the RGB function rotation expresses color according to its red, green, blue component. The Gaussian alpha component represents the color's transparency. So I should be able to do... What does the from keyword do? From. CSS RGB from. Because they're using the word from specifically in here. Relative color syntax. I think this might be new. So, CSS relative color. Relative color. CSS RGB function with var. Oops. Yeah, I don't know. Let's try it. So if I do RGB, and then do slash 0.5, and do that for all of these. Sorry, I'm struggling to see, so it's harder to select text accurately. Would that do the trick? Let's see. No, it doesn't like that. It doesn't like that, so that's probably a syntax that's not available. RGB. Is there other things that are similar to this? RGB color syntax. Reference. Shapes from images. RGB. I just want and menu. Chrome. Android Chrome. Space separated RGB. Float values and parameters. Functional notation / functional. Or add support for space separated values in the functional notation. No. CSS. CSS. USB function with variable. Find color RGB. Yeah, you see, Google searches are actually pretty bad at this sort of thing. Can I use the CSS RGB function with a CSS variable? Let's see what chat RGB has to say. Semi-transparent colors are supported in shadows. We're trying to do it with the variables. No, I'm pretty sure it'll be supported. Like, I've done that sort of thing before. The question is, can I transform it? Because I don't want to define the color. I want to reuse this, so other things that modify that color, like I don't have a new color that I have to track now, right? It's defined. Okay. My color RGB. Oh god, you'd have to split it out. Yes, you can use it with you can use it with, as long as the function is written in the context of the variables used. No, I think the fact that the color itself isn't in the RGB format already, because it basically just does a string substitution, right? So, how to change alpha of a CSS color stored as hex in a variable. The problem is I don't want to be dependent on how it's stored. I just want to take any color and change the alpha. You know what I mean? And it's silly that there's so many different ways of specifying colors. It's silly that there isn't a homogeneous way that I can just interchange them and use them. I mean, it might make sense to modify how the colors are stored in general. So this list, that all colors always have to be in a certain format, right? It might make sense if that's required, but I'd prefer not to have to do that. So because I want to be able to inject colors from all sorts of sources. So they're using this, but it doesn't look like it's very well supported from. So if I do this, so what would this look like? So our variable, whoops, our variable is this. So from this, get RGB, and then load in 0.5 as opacity, or 50%. Who cares at this point? I'm kind of going out on a limb. Oh, wow, that completely breaks everything. So, color. Ah, here we go. How did that break so badly? Holy. Yeah, definitely. That definitely does not work. If I look at, yeah, rect. Wait, why is rect in arrows? Oh, interesting. All right, if I look at that, it just showed me something there and it just disappeared. That was weird. That's weird. I thought I saw it here for a moment and then it just poofed. All right. What's our alternative here? Oh my god, my vision. I can't wait for it to come back. It usually passes after a little while. I don't know what the problem is. I probably have to get like an MRI scan done or something and can afford that in this economy. Like probably some sort of blood pressure in the eyeball thing. If I make it, because I could make it like a little bit faded and hope that that makes it kind of as if it is transparent. But it looks like if I do fractional pixel values, it just rounds it to whatever works. Maybe so. Now I'm wondering if I should go back to the other method. So if I, instead of doing this, we're going back to not offsetting them, placing all the shadows in the same spot at 0, 0, like this. And then we'll just, what's the word? We'll just blur them a little and hope that that kind of works like an alpha, basically. And if we blur them a bit further, we might have to add more of them. I don't know if that how that affects performance, to be honest. Like if I put 10 of them in there. I still don't like the glow look. That's the problem. What if we change the offset to be, instead of 1 pixel, to be less than we tried that before and it just rounded really weirdly. Let me see. That's not open anymore. CSS filter drop shadow fractional pixel offsets, because it looks like they are being rounded. Rounding issues. Like it doesn't seem to render them at the right places. And these kind of things probably won't tell me about that. Because, oh, Pixelist, my music just finished. They won't tell me about this because it probably relates to the rendering of the SVG. So the SVG itself probably has some tags on it up here, probably the non-scaling stroke part, which I had to add to make the lines in the grid not go all sorts of weird. I wonder if I should move the vector effect class onto a specific. I mean, it's not too bad, right? If I go back to. So this was this one. If we go back to this, and then instead of 0.1, okay, let's try it. We know that there's a problem with the fractional pixel offset. Let's give it one more try. Maybe we can figure out a way of fixing that. It's just weird that it rounds negatives and positives differently. So as you can see, it's stronger in the upper left than the bottom right. Like you can see around the circle. So it seems to round down to the nearest pixel. So it rounds this to 0 and this to -1, basically. That's all it's doing. If I get rid of the pixels, I don't know if it'll work at all. Yeah, no, it doesn't like that. I mean, the other thing I could try is to literally have it diagonally, like only have it in 2 diagonal directions, but it'll look weird. No, it'll just look weird. I think we'll just have to go with this. It looks a bit harsh, and that's why the transparency would have been nice to make it look less hard. It just looks so chunky. Ah, man. And I don't know. It's like, is this 1/64th of the whole thing? I don't know if it is. Like, if I make this an EM, right? It definitely likes the EM. PT. So I'm really surprised it doesn't let me use fractional pixel values if it lets me use larger units. It looks like there might be a conflict between the CSS units and the SVG units. We'll just do this, for example, right? It lost all my negatives, to be honest. What happened here? This is supposed to be negative, and these are supposed to be negative. Yeah, it's just rounding it to the nearest one. And then the negatives make it bias it in one direction. All right. And even the blur doesn't do anything. It does actually a little bit. It fuzzifies it a little bit. So we either have this at that fairly harsh thickness, and if there's a lot of lines... Oh, you know what? This could also solve the issue with lines on top of thermoses. Let me see if I can find one quickly. Sudoku testing admissions. Because that's been a long-running issue. Actually, the other issue was that the line is on top of the arrow is thinner. And I don't know if I should just generally swap them or sort them by line. I probably should sort them by line thickness, to come to think of it. The problem is there's no sorting because I don't have existing objects. I'm just drawing them, right? I don't have a list of objects that exist, so I can't go back and change them after the fact. All right, I'm scrolling. If you have one handy, one that has arrows on top of thermoses, thermize. I'm tempted to go through the oh my god, I've got so many. Let me get rid of some of these. The artisanal ones, because I do recall seeing one recently that had that. Let's go. Ooh, volume 10. That's pretty far back. Oh, no, no. Ooh, whoa. Answer keys. No, we don't want to look at answer keys. Excellent newsletter. You should check it out. Nope. Oh. No. I think the answers might be for the previous. I've never actually looked at that one. Oh, that's similar to the other one. Okay, but we've got arrows. We don't have mixed arrows and thermoses. Just gonna scroll quickly. Don't want to show. I should do this off screen. This is kind of. I should. I need to make like an internal search engine so I can search for these kind of features. Something like this, for example. Let's try that because. Because I'm. Oop, what? No. Because this has a diagonal down the middle, and I'm curious if that's being affected as well. Oh, that's one issue with thermoses, is that the line and the circle aren't a singular unit. It'll look weird, and people already don't like the way thermos bulbs have a different transparency to the lines. I need to detect thermoses reliably and then kind of render them as one unit, similar to what I do with the arrowheads, where they're kind of pulled into a group. So instead of rendering them as a line and an object, they need to be rendered as a singular thermal. The problem is that the original puzzle format from CTC doesn't have thermoses, so I have to detect them and then guess, you know, and if I get it wrong, well, it's just wrong. Yeah. People are already on my case about that. All right, I'm not finding one here. I've already gone through 10 of the newsletters, and I've scrolled for quite a while in the puzzle testing submissions. It's funny, it's like people have problems with something all the time, but if I need a single test case, I can't bloody find anybody doing it. And then I wonder if they're not doing it because it is a problem. One last desperate choice is if I go here, Logic Masters, right? And I search. Can I search for... oh my god, my vision is still horrible. Can I search for those two features? So if I search for arrows and lines. So if I search for arrows, irregular grid, standard puzzle, variant, combination. Is that the best I can do? Is that the best? I cannot search for arrow. History, cipher, meta puzzle, multi-grid, team puzzle. I would have thought that... so these are sort of things that are beyond Sudoku, not within Sudoku. Path puzzle, irregular grid. So I can't search for things like arrow puzzles. That's a bit odd. If I search for contains text, arrow, line, puzzle text here, like that. Additional arrow, line, arrows, arrow, variant, line, region sum lines, lockout lines, the other lines. All right, that should be enough. I think I haven't used this line, this site enough to be, I'm not a specialist at this. Okay, no puzzles. That seems unlikely. If I go here and here. If I just search for arrow puzzle and then visually scan for ones with lines, maybe that'll work. Oh, I forgot. There is no visual, there's no thumbnails. What if I search for arrows and then ask for palindrome in the text? Because palindrome lines are generally thick. No, nothing? If I just search for palindrome. Palindrome. Ah, here we go. All right. Link to F puzzles. Good enough. Does that work? Yeah, good enough. Here we go. Close that. All right. Why do I not get the outline here now? The arrow doesn't have an outline. That's strange. Here we go. Arrow. No outline. Hashtag hash arrows. Fill none. Stroke. Fill none. Stroke. Fill none. This arrow doesn't seem to be affected. And if I do this and this... Oh, gosh. The arrow... Oh. The outline only... That's what it means to put the outline on the parent. They don't outline relative to each other. Which is good. Oh, but these aren't... Oh my god. It does this, but then it... My god, this is turning way too complicated. All right, we have other things to do. So I think I'm going to leave this in for testing for now. So that's this. And I'm going to make this a minor patch because it's just a sort of a visibility improvement. Whoops. It's been on my to-do list for a long time. So I really would like... Or is that the one that was on my to-do list? No, that's not... This one is new, actually. So we add lines to outline setting. Now, I'm wondering if we should change the setting name. Because it says outlines on digits. So if we change that... and it's not here right now. So if we search for this to outlines on elements. It's called digit outlines, but I'm not going to worry about outlines on elements. It won't be on everything. It will be on some of them. And it'll mostly help with the backgrounds, right? Add lines to outline settings. Lines and arrows to outline settings. Boom. Done. All right. It's in testing now. And it's... All right. I didn't test, to be fair, I did not test dark mode. But it should be dark mode compatible. Dark mode should be under experimental because it's never been... Yeah. And... Yeah, it does kind of what it's supposed to, right? It's using a dark line. It's almost more visible, but it won't show unless you have a background color. Okay, I'm happy enough with that. All right, so that was one item. Was it this? Yes, done. Okay, so this is the one that was. So the other thing was. If I reload right now, there is a dialog that pops up that I've disabled. So don't pause and start. So it does this, and it has the start puzzle button. So I want to change that to be continue puzzle if you have some progress in the puzzle, because it's kind of weird, and it makes me feel weird every time I see it. And it was a feature that I kind of rushed in, so it's obviously not super correct, so I don't mind tweaking that a little bit here and there. So, and we're already doing that elsewhere. We're doing that. Where are we doing that? We're doing that. I'm doing that in the app, actually. So if I go here, and I go here, it has continue. So let's have a quick look at how I mean, it's trivial. I look at the number of steps in the replay thing. I just want to, you know, reuse the exact same thing. So find continue. Here we go. Replay len. And instead of replay length, we probably want to use the replay itself, because replay length is actually a bit of a process, right? So we have app, and then app, colon, current, puzzle. No. Puzzle. Then we should be able to say log, puzzle, and puzzle dot replay stack. Right? And if we go to whichever... Ooh. This looks... Oh. It's from the blurring. All right, that looks weird. Let's see what that looks like. Our console here. Replace stack. So if we say... if puzzle.replace stack... I think the replace stack should always exist. Stack. And then we'll do start puzzle, resume start, start puzzle. And then here'll be just if game start, boom, const button label equals, then we have replace stack dot length greater than, let's make greater than 1, because I think nowadays there's going to be like extra instruction in there and all that sort of thing. Then we'll do resume else start puzzle. All right, good. Just do that. Don't actually need to do this. Just do that. Don't need any of this shenanigans, right? And that shouldn't be a percentage sign. Oh, puzzle is not defined. Puzzle is not defined. Shoot. Really? Puzzle doesn't exist yet? App? Oh, no, puzzle does exist. We're just not dereferencing it. Okay. Resume puzzle. There we go. And if I now restart it, restart, and then refresh, start puzzle. And now if I refresh, resume puzzle, because it has the selections in there. Okay, that's all I wanted to do. That's been on my to-do list for a while. And super minor change, dereferencing that variable, and just changing how we're loading up the label. Small change, easy peasy, done. Edit, resume to start dialog. Right. So that's the second item. Done. So now there's a report of a regression, those evil regressions. And I'm going to close some of these out. My computer crashed. Lately, my computer's been crashing almost every day, which is not good. A little concerning. Hey, Mark! No worries. I've not been working very efficiently. But we've got some outlines on elements. No, that's not the one. Yeah, kind of like this to make these lines more visible. We just did that. And now I'm looking at a regression that was reported for the row and column. God damn it. Somehow I screwed up my clipboard. A regression that's been reported for the row column display. So what did they say? They said, one second, let me just check. I'm trying to remember who reported this. KTX was reporting this? No. Who reported this? Somebody reported this. Or was it in the Discord chat? One sec. Not here. Where was this reported? Puzzle Plaza? No. It's not in my feedback chat, and I don't see it in any private message. Unless it's a little older. Not from here. Not from there. Okay, somebody reported. I'll find it. I'll find it. Maybe it was in a Patreon message. Maybe it was in here. Let me check. My god, I have so many different places where stuff comes in. No wonder I get a bit confuddled. No, I don't think so. All right, so somebody must have mentioned it somewhere. Ah, maybe it was a mention in a different channel. And I just don't have that channel open for that message. Maybe it probably wasn't Puzzle Plaza, I imagine. Yeah. Oh, it is in Sven discussion. Then how the hell am I not seeing it? Let me see. Oh, it's right there. My god, it was literally the message before I posted. Okay, so it appears correctly in SudokuPad.app, but not on beta. All right, so beta, for all intents and purposes, should be the same as this. And then this, if we go to SudokuPad app, and we'll just do whatever. So, and what row column, we obviously have to enable those, and they should be under visual. And then here, under visual, row column labels. And specifically, how are they different? I think the font might be different. Is the scale different? Nope. No. Is the scale different? Oh. Gosh, all right, 100. All right, so now the scale's the same. Oh, yeah, it is different. Holy crap. Look at the labels over here. Here they go from 1 to 9. Here they start one further down. How the heck did I break that? That's a bizarre. I don't even have an idea of how that could have broken like that. Thankfully, if it breaks in a really strange way, it's very likely to be an easy fix. Except I didn't touch this feature, so how would it? What would affect that? Which worries me a little bit. It's probably related to. Oh, it's because of that change of figuring out where cages start and end. Yeah, because this is a construction puzzle and it doesn't fill in the cages. Yeah, I think that change I made by filtering out null cages differently, I don't think I can do it that way. It's breaking, like, that's what I was worried about. It's breaking more things that it fixes for sure. So I think I'm gonna have to revert that for now. And then find a better way of doing that in general. Yeah, I've been meaning to revert that anyways. It's kind of, it's too broken. So, I think, I don't even remember now what was the change that I need to revert. Create new puzzle, create blank puzzle, right. So I think it's literally this line. Yeah. And unfortunately, it messes up certain kinds of puzzles. But yeah, I don't think I can do that any other way. Yeah. That's the thing, yeah. People say, "Oh, that's a bug." It's not a bug. It's just like that for a reason. You cannot do two different things the same way. You cannot say, "Make this red," and then expect it to be blue or green. Sometimes without any way of determining which one it should be. That is a problem. We need to do a bunch of shenanigans, though. So we need the minifier. And we need to empty this file out. Boom. Gotta take all of this. Gotta make sure the change is exactly what we want. Yeah, we're just doing that. Minifying that. Sticking that in here. Going back to the mini version here. Make sure I didn't now undo the version change. Yeah, I think that's correct. Close, 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 close. Yeah, we revert null region handling in fpuzzles import. All right. That fixes this. All right, we're done with the 3 thingy-majigs. Let's do the deployments quickly while I'm still here. Mentally, that is. So let's push the beta. Let's push... I think this one doesn't actually... Yeah. All right, that should be it. Sorry to whoever needed that change to make his stuff work. It's just too many breakages. So that's it. I think that's okay now. All right. While we're here, so if I'm gonna shift back to SudokuPad work, let's make sure we're also bringing those files across. So we are not, working with out-of-date files. All right, so that's all here. Go to SudokuPad. All right, let's bring over whatever we just changed. So I think it was, it's the decoder script. I don't think we have the unminified version in here at all. That's it. We didn't change, we did change. App settings. What did we change in app settings? I don't remember changing anything in app settings. Huh, weird. Okay. Folder check before I overwrite and screw myself. Let's see. So we have this. We have this. We have this stuff. Okay, so both of these files do exist here. Or already existed here. Wait a second. Why is the minified version bigger than... What? Uh-oh. What the frick? One sec. What the heck did I just do here? Oh, geez. Did I just... My god. The heck did I just copy there? I must have just copied the whole page instead of... Oh my god. Sorry. 1 second. Minify. Copy clip. I must have somehow selected the whole page. And I didn't even look at the screen in front of me. So. That should now be... Why are these 2 files the exact same size now? That's so worrying. Okay, pure coincidence. Alright. Alright. I think that needs another patch bump. And I just uploaded it and deployed. So this probably breaks the site, right? That'll break the site, I believe. That probably breaks the site completely. Yeah, that completely broke beta. Great. Great job, Sven. Great job. Fix broken fix wrong file upload. Boom. Now let's do that deploy right away. Redeploy this. All right, and then we'll do this again from here. All right, we'll bring these over. Now if I refresh this, yeah, I can't believe I deployed and I didn't do a test. It always breaks. All right, fog warning by James Sinclair. Was this the first? I think it was the first by James, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, except of course this isn't a 7 thing, so that's gotta be a sec. Oh no, wait, that's not the one I've been doing lately. All right. Also, neither of these can be 1. So the 1 has to be here. Oh. 1, nope. Yeah, I don't want that setting. Why is it like that? You want that. This can't be a 9 or 8, so this is going to be 7, 8, 9, 9, 8. So this is what the outlines look like on the thermoses. 5, so 5, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 3. One of these is a 1. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 5, 6, 7. All right. No 1 in here. No 1 here. No 4 here. 4. No 1s here. Boom. 1, 2, 3. Can't be a 1. Oh, 2. Not a 2. Not a 3. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7. 2 here. In this cage. All right. Yeah, we should always play our partial 1, 2. So that's now 3 minimum. 4, 5, 7, 8. Can't be a 9. So 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 4, 5, 6. That's all. Yeah, 5 can never be a 3-cell cage. 1, 1, 1. 8, 8, 8. 9, 9. 9. 2. Now this has to be a 3. 4, 5. Not a 5. 1, 2. 5, 5. Not a 3. 3. 5, 5. Can't be a 4 anymore. 5, 6, 7, 8. So there could be a 9 somewhere nearby. 2, 4. That's a 3. 2, 4, 2, 6, 7, 8. All right, so this is 4, 8, 9. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm trying to remember if this is a really quick one, because if it's not, I probably should not try to finish it. 1, 5, 8, 9, not a 5. 9 up here. Yeah, I'm going to finish it. I'm happy this works as far as this. And now we need to update our pushes. Now I ran deploy here. I ran deploy beta here. Okay, so we're good on that front. So now the updates here are for engine, yada, yada, yada. And it's this one, the style one, this one with the button, and the decoder, right? And app settings. Oh, I just renamed it. All right. And I removed some blanks there. Oh yeah, okay, that's fine. So date engine to the whatever this is. And I think that's it. All right. Ooh, there's a mention of me in memes. I do not code in a bright background. It's this. Sacrilege. All right. So, don't need this anymore. All right. So, what I've been working on the last couple of days was getting the fog to render correctly in the thumbnails. And I think there's a couple of issues. Actually, I don't remember if there are more issues with the fog. There are definitely more issues with the listings, right? So one of the issues is these small puzzles not rendering the right size. So let's limit our listings to these. Well, before we do that, let's see if I can just push what we have right now. So we fixed these. Yeah, this is doesn't need a comment here. Yes, the thumbnailer now working and adding a lot of changes here. Yeah, so that's the biggest update. Is really I've kind of reorganized how the thumbnail operates. So it does enable it does disable. Okay, yeah. So there's a couple of things here before we continue. Because, for example, it triggers the fog animation setting, but we actually want to restore it to what it was, right? So we want to do const saved setting fog anim, right? And then we want to disable the setting while we're rendering all that stuff. Right? And then we'll just, right. We'll do that. And then here we can just set, return it to whatever it was at. Like that. And that's just a custom handling for the fog animation setting. We don't want to wait for the fog animation before we render a thumbnail. Now, do we need to do the same thing for this? Warning. Yeah, no, I don't need that. So we've added this start trigger. I mean, we kind of only added this for the fog, but I kind of wanted to have it in there that other plugins that use that trigger get triggered as well. We manually, render cells used to be over here. Yeah, okay. Replay frame false, yada yada yada. Yeah, that's fine. Bounce. Bounce dot left. Width height. Okay. All right, I think that's fine. And I think the only significant change now is, I think it's backwards compatible as it is. So that should literally just be support for fog puzzles. Does it need this? Ah, we can now undo that, I think. Because that's now all getter setter stuff. Magic. Do we need to do this? Turn this .init puzzle app. Yeah, we probably don't want to do that, right? So we can get rid of that. Make this like that. Return promise.resolve. Because in app start, where's app start? Ooh. Ah, no, I'm done with that. All right, app start. I think it's the part at the bottom here. Settings, handle show settings. Add page on show handle show settings. Add page settings on show handle show settings. I don't know why it thinks that's a removal when we just moved things around. It's a little bit strange why the Git doesn't see that that's not a change. Okay, that's better. So we're literally just doing a timeout thing here, and then we run app.init, init settings, app.start. If I remove this, will it break all of this? It might not, actually. And if we don't need all of that, I'd rather not have it. And then if we do need it for something specific, I'd rather add it deliberately. Yeah, so this seems to work. And we have... Yeah, so we have our... And we load these from fresh. Yeah, they work. The partial... Yeah, so these all seem to work. Okay. I think we can remove all of this for now. So the only thing we added is this. Yeah. Because that was added for fog support, right? Fog initializes this to 0. Yeah, and we needed to do that because the fog would initially set to 0. And we might actually have to put that back, because if we're loading something like this, it might flash visible before the fog gets loaded in, all that stuff. Although in the app, that's unlikely because the puzzle is loaded locally. Yeah, exactly. It's not, doesn't have a remote load. Okay, so that should work. So that one should be okay now. That's fine. We don't actually even need that now, do we? Don't even need that. Oh, maybe that's why it's working, because I have that. If I just do this, it'll break in it. Return promise.resolve. Okay. Also, I don't know why it does that. Sometimes it just resets the settings. Now this one, yeah, that's something we need to... Why does it do that? Just change that setting. Okay. I change this. Hide about on start on. If I do that. Hide about on start. Hide. Show hide. Nope. Gameplay. Don't pause and start. So if I do this and then I go here, that works. If I refresh this, it seems to work. If I go here, continue. If I refresh from here, that's also seems to work. So I don't think I need to wait for app to be available here. We had to change this because it just wiped out all settings and stuff. And now we just want to bring in all the settings, so that's fine. Multi-theme. That just got moved, right? Yeah, that just got moved. And then some of these buttons got reorganized and all that stuff. All right. And this is in app start. So in app start, there's a bunch of places where I probably want to remove these blanks. Like that. And then which ones did we remove? We removed these because we didn't need the setting item stuff anymore. Yeah. And then we just changed, you know, added all the grouping stuff. Got rid of that. Added the SudokuPad group. All right, I think that's good enough. So that's basically all the settings stuff. Integrate new settings. Update thumbnailer for better fog support. All right. So that brings us up to date on this engine update branch. Now, we want to figure out... so that's done. That's done. And now we'll just do check puzzle sizing in thumbs. So let's bring up the puzzle listing. Make sure we're in the right, looking in the right files. Under content, I believe, content, puzzle listing, right? So let's limit the listing to just the puzzles we're interested in so we don't have a lot of noise when we start console logging it. So puzzles are being sorted here. So we'll do sorted equals sorted.filter. Data includes p.title. So we'll just sort by titles, right? So we have puzzle 15 and what was the other one? And then we might have to include one. Fog Mini. So it looks like Fog Mini being the first one to be rendered works. It looks like... Oop, okay, that's not working. That's not working. Why is that not working? Why you not work? Name. Because it's name, not title. I really need to get my terminology organized. Okay. Alright. So if I now change the sorting... This is still small, this is big. Now if I refresh with this sorting, that is now scaled correctly. Both of them are scaled correctly. Now, I think what's happening is it's using the cached thumbnails. So let's disable the caching on the thumbnailer. Over here. What time is it? Let me bring up this so I will know when it's time to take the dog out. And then we'll have an answer to the question of who let the dog out. It'll be me. All right. So thumb already loaded. I'm just gonna force return false. And that should always reload the thumbnail. So we're home. Go here. Okay. Swap these. Okay. Now if we allow another puzzle ahead of this one, like a puzzle 1 perhaps. Initiating the line streak. Hey Lima. Sure, what do you mean by that? So, I'm curious that this isn't sized correctly, but Fog Mini is being sized correctly. Now, if I change the order of those... Huh. Alright, give me a puzzle that's ahead of the Fog Mini. Maybe Lost, instead of puzzle 1. Just a regular sized puzzle, just something that's in some sort of order ahead of Fog Mini. Okay. That's weird. Okay, now both of them are not sized correctly. Now, I have a feeling... I mean, that's something I broke, right? I think that used to work. So I'm thinking that wherever I'm passing in the width and the height, I'm not doing so correctly. So let's have a look at these. So that's one place, and then here's another. I do this, right? Whoa. Whoa, dude. Why is this breaking suddenly? Why is this breaking? This return should work just fine. What's going on, man? What's going on? Alright, so these are the same size as multiple times, which is obviously wrong. Puzzle to SVG. Puzzle to SVG. Dot ID. Dot ID. Do we not have a name here? This is very strange. Cages. Title Fog Mini. Puzzle to SVG. Fog Mini. And on this one, title, untitled, unknown. Okay, so they're all coming in with width and height 192, which are obviously wrong. So where do these come from? They're coming from here. If we go further back, puzzle, thump load. Thump load. Wait, no, they should all be the same height and width. Because that's the output height and width. Oh, the lights. Alright, now I'm with you. Oh yeah, go ahead, like my stuff. Why not? Especially if you do like it. But if you don't like it, feel free to press the like button anyways. It's fine. They don't check. It's okay. All right, so the width and the height is the output width and height. So now I have to figure out why the input width and height doesn't track with the output width and height. All right, so it's 192 because that's just the width and height of the thumbnails, right? Oop. Yeah, we don't want that. Did I? I want to introduce any changes. Like that. Yeah. So, how am I calculating the actual size of the puzzle? Okay. And how did that used to work? So if I look at this. Sorry if it's hard to see. It's hard to see for me too. Why should I be the only one to suffer? So prior, the width and the height was calculated like this. And it was still doing this. And I'm just doing the same thing, right? But it feels like I'm doing something. And the funny thing is, it works depending on if the puzzle was loaded elsewhere or not. So I'm starting to think this is not where the problem is. The problem is in the adjust view box, maybe? Right? So it's somewhere here. Let's see if here we're not maybe getting the right values. Yeah, you see, so it got the right size for this one, and then the same wrong size for these. So I'm thinking what's happening is that we're getting the wrong content bounds because maybe because of other elements remaining in the SVG element from the previous puzzle, such as fog backgrounds and stuff like that. Which then result in the wrong width and height. So if I look at SVG element, now it won't give me an accurate picture. This is after the puzzle is being loaded. So basically, my suspicion is that before the puzzle is getting loaded, SVG element already contains stuff. So if I get out HTML, it just should output the whole thing, right? Which is going to be a mess, but we can just... So the first time round, it's empty. The second time round, it's got stuff in it. And the existing stuff... Now, the existing stuff should be removed when we do the load puzzle. So load puzzle, we should do this. Puzzle app, puzzle, load puzzle, right? So let's see. The load puzzle should clear it out. And why is it not doing so? Why is it not doing so? I guess the easiest place to check is to go into load puzzle here. Load puzzle. Right? We've got load puzzle here. And at some point during this load puzzle, things need to be emptied out before we start drawing them in. Now at this point, some things might have already been rendered. Let's actually do a warn here and have a look at the at the, whatchamacallit, the stack trace. Get rid of that. Because I have a suspicion that this is not working the way it should. Let's see if we can get a different order here. So the last one here. So load puzzle, puzzle to SVG. So it's a direct call of load puzzle. I'm a little concerned because that doesn't seem to work. This doesn't seem to pass through the this method. One sec. Is it because this is CTC? This is already converted. Okay, sorry, I'm not explaining what's going on because we have a function called convert puzzle, I believe. And I always thought that convert puzzle does some rendering. And convert puzzle is basically, originally it was supposed to convert the puzzle to the internal format, right? But it actually renders a lot of the visual elements. But convert puzzle doesn't get called from puzzle.loadPuzzle. It only gets called from app.loadPuzzle. And I'm somewhat surprised that most of these elements actually get rendered at all, because I thought they used to get called from convert puzzle. Let's just warn this out as well to see maybe it is being called. I mean, the puzzles are being rendered correctly, right? So they must be getting called somehow. In fact, it is being called. But how? Oh, early in the process? 54. Load puzzle. 56. Oh, convert puzzle is being called already. Already. So let's have a look at our outer HTML before we are running convert puzzle. Load puzzle. Why is load puzzle like converted puzzle? This should be inside load puzzle, shouldn't it? Like that. I don't even know why this is a function, to be honest. Why is this a function? Why is this a function? This doesn't make any sense. If skip progress. Skip progress. Skip progress. This is either true or false, right? So what if we do const skip progress equals, we'll do this. I don't know why I did it this way. I probably had a good reason for that at the time. And then we'll probably do this. Like that. And then we'll probably just do this here instead of this whole return load puzzle. Right? Maybe because I wanted to put the... Oh, because I wanted to be able to call it again. Ah, that's why. Now I remember. Okay. Okay. That's why. So we could call it more than once easily. Alright. That's the problem when I always assume that I didn't have a good reason for doing a certain thing. I'm usually wrong about that. I usually have good reasons for stuff, despite appearances to the contrary. All right, so at least my vision is back. That's nice. So after converting puzzle, we are outputting this. So it's empty. Next time round here. Now this one has fog of war in it, right? So the problem is that we have the oversized fog of war from the prior thing in it. And we're not removing the fog of war in any way. I'm curious now. Can we do this in the init of fog of war? Because I'm presuming that init fog skips past all this stuff. So let's see. Init fog is called here. Convert puzzle. Init fog is called here. But I'm assuming that the init fog is being skipped. So what we really want to do is we basically need to know when we need to reinitialize, right? So we're gonna do this dot puzzle, right? Whoops. So then in here, we're going to this dot puzzle equals current puzzle, right? And we want to bring this app to here. And then we can check if basically the puzzle that we've initialized on is still current. And I'm guessing that that will be no longer the case here, right? So init puzzle, init fog false. Great. Init fog false. Well, it'll always be false here. So we probably, if these are the same, equals current puzzle, and this is not null, and this text content is not empty, then we want to return. So if they're different, we want to reinitialize well, we need to remove them and then re-add them. Is that not what's happening here? I don't think it is. Init fog. Proceed. So init fog proceed probably wasn't running before. So after init fog proceed, this stuff should... I think one of the problems is that the fog gets initialized to a width and a height that isn't actually correct at this point. Yes, because we're also using content bounds here. So it's kind of presuming that it's empty, which actually means we should empty it out before we calculate the bounds. We should do that here. Fogged layers. Yeah, we should actually do this. Cage styles. We should do this. Okay, not quite. So yeah, so there's a you know, we had that, me and Mark had that conversation today. We had it many times before. There's a lack of a well-defined order of things, which is always going to be a problem, right? So one of the problems, for example, here is that there's stuff in here that shouldn't be in here, and that's inflating the size of the actual board, of what's on the board. So for example, on the last one here, init fog proceed, it's got all this stuff in there, right? So the puzzle hasn't been emptied yet when the fog is being initialized. Let's figure out why. So it's because its handle start is being fired. So handle start is getting fired here. No, why? Why start? Start shouldn't get fired at this point, right? Why is init fog getting run so early? Puzzle.load puzzle. So init fog true, load puzzle, convert puzzle. So init fog, what is it triggered by? Is it triggered by... Wait, what? Hmm. Is it before that? It's way before that. Puzzle.load puzzle. So before we get to puzzle to SVG, the load puzzle stuff is already getting run. Okay. All right. So I'm guessing it's before that as well. Of course it is before that. So I'm guessing somewhere around here stuff is happening. Yeah, so let's see. We have where's the thumb load? Thumb load. Let's start from the top. I don't know. Okay, we have an initial init fog. Thumb load, puzzle PNG, SVG, convert puzzle, yada yada, load puzzle. Init fog false, init fog proceed. We still have another init fog. So this is happening. I feel this is happening before the thumbnail is getting started. TP thumb load. Init fog true, init fog false. Let's try something here. Let's reduce this to one puzzle like that. And let's have a look at the order. So init fog, app start, load, thumb load, puzzle to SVG, convert puzzle. So init fog is happening again when the puzzle start triggers. I have a feeling this is happening way too late. So init fog, so we have a problem because I'm now relying on init fog to remove what was there. Right now, the removal of stuff is happening. It's happening where exactly? So before convert puzzle, we have load puzzle. Dot load puzzle equals. We have two of those, right? We have this one on app and the one on puzzle, which is a whole other story. But it doesn't call convert puzzle. So why does it say load puzzle calls... Oh, that's that load puzzle. So, and convert puzzle, what does it expect? At what point is the puzzle getting reset or emptied out or whatever? It needs to happen sometime, right? All right, let's find dot clear puzzle. Puzzle. We have clear puzzle and we have reset puzzle. And I don't know, and we have restart, and I don't know which of these I care about, which is another problem of sizable proportions, I believe. Let me just check the chats. I guess everybody's asleep. So, then we're gonna do this. What is running when? So reset puzzle is happening after convert. So I'm guessing reset is happening before the next one? Load puzzle. Then reset puzzle. I'm guessing... But then convert puzzle needs to happen later. How can we reset after convert? This is somewhat strange. Okay, so these things only clear the user data out of the puzzle. They do not clear the visuals. Okay, so I don't actually care about these at all. These are not the ones I care about. I care about the ones where the renderer gets reset. So renderer, clear layer, clear all layers. Like this guy, for example. Not sure if that happens very often, to be honest. Clear all layers. All right, so clear all layers. After clear all layers, after clear layers, this dot get element. I should really let me have a look at this. If I do this, right? And compare this to yeah, so I don't ideally want to reference this, but will this give me all the top level Gs? I guess not. Okay, select all top level ancestors. Maybe I have to use root. CSS, select all ancestors of root. Descendants, not ancestors, descendants. God, am I getting so hungry? Descendants. Do I have to ask my friend here? I don't have the root. I have a given element in JavaScript and want to select its direct descendants. Yeah, this is kind of a different sniff. Select the select elements of the DOM. It will return list of elements. Exactly, but yeah, it doesn't like this though. We tried that. Query selector all. And what was the error we got? Okay. It's not a val selector. A selector beginning with appears to not be valid. All right, let's see. Come on. I get this error message. Wish I could stop this here because here we go. There is no element name since this is applied to the element. Ah, I wish I could just abort it. Why is it typing it out? Oh, I think that now I know why it's typing it out so slowly. They're doing it on... Oh, this is so stupid. This is a way for them to throttling requests. This is not the JavaScript I need. Stop it! Stop typing, you dumbass. I'm just gonna open another chat. All right. In JavaScript, given an element stored in a variable elem, how can I select all direct descendants of type G using query selector all? Let's see. Elem is a variable name, a valid CSS selector. It's just repeating the same verbose rubbish. I feel like they've made the stupid effect of slowly typing things out one letter at a time, and then made every response extra verbose. Oh my god. This, Jesus Christ. This is infuriating. Ah, colon scope. Jesus, thank you. Finally. Holy moly. In fact, I can just do this, right? Dot app dot sv renderer dot get elem dot query selector all. What was it? Just scope or colon scope? Colon scope G. All right, that's what I need. Thank you. Blimey. So instead of doing this, I need to do this for that. Make sure I don't do too much rubbish here because I need to backport all these changes into the core engine after this. Okay, so that gets me all of these. Now, there's a reason I'm not erasing other things. But let's just have a look what these other things may be. So, 1414. Okay, now if I add one more item to the listing, such as lost, which is also a fog puzzle, right? So the second time round, there should be a difference between these two lists, right? 15, 16, yes. Because this will have the fog of war definitions in it. Now the question is, do I want to erase them or do I want to keep them? What actually am I doing here? I am... I'm trying to think how to handle this. Like, I don't have a well-specified API. I guess it makes sense to expect each API to add elements that they need and then wipe them out in between when loading a puzzle. And then expect the API to add these elements in after this. Because right now, I'm basically telling the API that they can just store stuff in the SVG and it'll stick around, which I don't think is technically correct. Fastest way to remove all element children in JS. Isn't there like a remove children or remove all or something? No, they really want us to loop like that, huh? Yeah, I think this is actually faster. First one we tried. Output before clicking buttons after. Yeah, okay, but okay, 3 examples, but not really answering question. Thanks for telling me there's 3 different ways of doing it. That's completely useless. All right, you haven't been helpful either. So I want the reverse now. If I say this, can I do not? Not G. I don't know. I don't know how the syntax should work. It's not a valid selector. Are you sure? It works! I don't know how reliable it is. So if I do asterisk not G for each, remove. And these are not layers. Like if I do this now, that should wipe out these things. And then hopefully it should just put them back in. So let's get our 3 puzzles back. Oh, that looks good. That looks good. That looks good. And if we don't filter at all, we'll get a huge amount of spam. But they are scaled correctly. Okay, so let's clean that up. If that works, I'm happy to throw that in there. Gotta get rid of all these outrageous, huge blocks of logging all over the place. So let's go here first. This has had the most added in, I think. So get rid of that. Oh, we gotta get rid of these as well. And this one. There's another one here somewhere. 136, well, 86. This one. And then this one. This one. Don't know if. Yeah, I don't actually want that in here. That's silly. Because now it'll run that every time if load puzzle calls gets called twice, it'll run that twice, which is completely yeah. Let me get rid of that. I can refactor that at another time. No point changing that now. What did I change here? Load puzzle equals skip. Yeah, we just do that, right? Oh. All right. All right, so no changes here, actually. All the changes are in here to clearing out our messy SVG renderer in between puzzles. And I think that's makes sense as a general thing. This doesn't actually matter now. And even the current puzzle thing doesn't matter because we're just erasing those things anyways before we're putting them back in. I've just moved it up. So okay, so that whole thing is actually pointless, right? We don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. We don't need that. It won't make a difference because we're actually just removing these things anyways. Ah, wait, maybe we do. Well, we don't anymore because it'll work now either way. Because those elements won't exist, so these checks will make us fall through. And it doesn't make sense. Well, we do want to remove them because this might be empty. Thing is, if this exists, yeah, it's fine to have them back here again. And I'm happy to change it to one line. I mean, it's just formatting. That's nothing. That is nothing. So, and we probably want to change the getElem call. I think getElem should be very quick, so we can just do that. Yeah, I think these are fine. Yeah, that's so I can actually test it. Yeah. All right, so let's go back here quickly. Change that one. This. Yeah, that's fine. We're just gonna do that. We're just gonna be a bit lazy here. And we're just gonna push that without a message. And we're gonna do the same thing on SudokuPad. We're just gonna quietly push that without a message. So that's the actual change. And that should work now. Okay. So we can get rid of the filters. And we need to backport this change to here. And where is this 264? Hey, Mark. Thanks for sticking around. I thought you'd left. You have the patience of a saint. All right. And go back to here. This is the last thing I'm going to do. It's getting late and I got to get ready to take Dogo out. I'm going to run. Bump patch. But we've fixed a few small minor niggles. They're not huge, but it's all progress. And, you know, stability, hooray. I hate to streamline also. I hate some npm commands of updating versions from the core engine to the mobile app. Clear renderer properly, thoroughly. More thoroughly. All right. So that should now be... I'll just copy that over. That should work, right? And then here, yeah, we just update engine to... Oop. All right. And this camera is just a card. And now the puzzles in the listing scale correctly, how they're supposed to. All right. They load correctly when they're being played. I think this is correct as well. We have the outlines already in here now. So if I change the outlines. Now the one thing I don't like about it is I generally have digit outlines on because it's super subtle. And this is really obvious, and I kind of don't like it on puzzles where you don't need it. It makes things look a bit obvious. So this is definitely something I'd love to revisit. If I could figure out how to make that outline line more subtle, either by keeping it thinner and or by making it semi-transparent. It's a bit annoying. And there is, I mean, there are a couple of ways that I can do it sledgehammer style, right? Like what I could do is, I could say body BG semi-transparent. You know, I could generate a new variable, body BG dot 50, right? And then what's 50? It's 8, right? Something like that. And then have to, you know, duplicate that for the dark mode. DM black. DM black. Where's that? Ah, here, DM black. DM black alpha. In fact, yeah, dark mode black. Dark mode black. Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm just trying to think. Body background. This one, right? So then I'd have to replicate that, and instead of using DM black, I would have to use DM black alpha, basically. There must be a better way of doing this. There must be. I mean, I wouldn't even mind the arrows being slightly transparent, but visibility can get bad very quickly, and it's one thing to look at one puzzle and tune it, and it's another thing to have it work on all the puzzles. I need like you know what I need to do, Mark? I need to come up with a way of, like, I need to have a testing harness, right, where I can have it render, like, load up my test database of 10,000 puzzles and randomly pick like 50, render them all, and put them side by side on screen, or just flick through them, just so I can test, right? And then let me apply filters to them. Say, okay, give me puzzles with lines, give me puzzles with arrows, give me puzzles with background colors, you know? And I can just have a little UI where I can choose the element that I want to visually test, and then just kind of flick through them as quickly as it can. And I can just say, hey, wait a second, you know? And then ideally, maybe like a little thing where I just press a button on the puzzles that have a problem, and then kind of have them as a test case to fix something, you know? Something like that. I mean, like even here, you see that's semi-transparent. There's an outline on this line, and it's kind of overlays, and it creates multiple extra edges and details, which is not great. Yeah, I mean, the other option is to just put it on a separate setting. But I think one good thing is it's just on beta right now, so people can, you know, they can put in their feedback and let me know what the problem is. Like, I personally don't like as it is, but it's good enough for people to try it at least and then give some feedback. I think the line should be thinner. It sucks that I can't specify a thinner line somehow. There's no way this is 1 pixel. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. This is not 1/64th of the height of this square, right? That doesn't make any sense. In fact, let me have a quick poke at this again. I really don't like it. Yeah. So, for example, if instead of 1 pixel I make it 10, it should be 1/6 of the width of the whole cell. Ah, wait. Yeah, that's not 1/6 of the whole cell, right? I'm also realizing the thickness of this thing is the thickness of the line, which is more than a pixel. But I'm shifting it. So this is shifted from here by 10. But it looks like it's shifted by roughly a third. So this looks almost as if the whole the reference of the cell size in pixels is 30, which just shouldn't be the case. Right, 608 pixels. Is it relative to this then? Wait a second, if it's 688 pixels divided by 9 cells. Yeah, okay, yeah, each cell is 64, right? 64 is 576 or whatever, plus the margin. So if we 9 times 64, yeah, 576 plus margin. No, it's just, yeah. It makes sense. It does make sense that 10 pixels would be this far. So I don't know how that pixel measure relates to the units in the thing. Unless there's some other scaling happening. Let's see. We have a scale here. If we change this to 1. Not 15, 1 please. Yeah, no, the relative scale is the same. The view box, that's all correct. If I get rid of this, does that modify it? 1 second, actually. If I go now to one of these guys, right? Should be able to access... no. If I go here, I should be able to access this. And I should be able to say... 0.5. 0.5. Let me get rid of the other 3 just to make it easier to test with. Like that. 0.5. If I make it 1, I just want to see a comparison. Is 1 gonna be bigger? It's really hard to tell, you know, if I don't know what it's supposed to be. How it compares. If it's 0.1. Yeah, you see, it doesn't get any fainter. .01, like it doesn't get smaller. So it's rounding them somehow. CSS filter drop shadow SVG rounding. SVG less than 1 pixel. Because the other option is to use an SVG filter. I mean, this looks much bigger than 1 pixel. Yeah, these are potentially much nastier to implement, performance-wise. I'm not very happy with it. All right, let's think. What are the options? The options are draw all the lines double with one line slightly bigger than the other, and then have to potentially deal with all the different edge cases of what that might entail. That's one option. Let's options for line outlines. So 1, draw all lines double, comma, at different thicknesses. 2, find a way of fixing the sub-pixel accuracy for drop or filter drop shadow placement. in use SVG native filter. 3, convert lines to filled areas with fill and stroke. So we could convert all the lines into basically complex paths that outline the line, and then we can apply on a fill and a stroke. It's probably it'd be a pain to program, but it probably wouldn't be too hard on calculating. You'd only have to do it once, and instead of have a simple path, the path would be more complex. But it would be crazy more complex because basically every point would basically become 2 points. And we just have to decide what we want to do at the corners. Basically, we have to implement our own emitter and stuff. But it would only double roughly the size of the paths, which could be bad enough, right? What were the other options we talked about earlier? So we have this filter, the other filter, double lines. I'm tempted to try the double line just for a moment. Like, if I can implement it very quickly just to test it, it might be good to see just what it looks like. So, for example, if we have a render line, right? Like, if I do this, how spammy is that gonna be? Am I not in the right place? So these aren't even, okay, so these aren't even run by renderline. So that's the other problem. I have to potentially modify multiple like I have to determine if I want to do arrows, lines, etc., etc. So 7 arrows are getting rendered, right? So in theory, we can do a second one. And we can marker and line join, yada, yada, yada. Where is the thickness of this arrow? Marker width. Size. Thickness. How is the thickness of these lines determined? What? I don't see a thickness here. Is it possible that I never defined the thickness on these arrows and they just have some sort of default and it just happens to kind of sort of work? Or it's maybe it is defined by CSS. Ah, shoot, okay. Greta's approaching. I need to get ready. I don't actually see this. Marker width. Does this determine that? No, that's the width of the arrow head. I'm not seeing any kind of thickness here. Line height, stroke. Isn't it line width? Width, stroke width, 5 pixels. Is this just like a default width? Okay, one sec. Stroke width. If I make this 7 pixels, like that, and stroke red, something like that. Now I have to figure out which one should go first. So this should go first. Sort of kind of works, doesn't it? So I didn't realize the line thicknesses aren't actually properly defined anywhere. That's kind of strange and stupid. For arrows. So all arrows are the same width. I guess. That's bizarre. Let's not worry about that for a sec. I don't see. So the markers here, I would have to create a second marker because the thickness affects the marker as well. One sec. There might be a better way of doing this for testing purposes. Render arrow. Render arrow. Render arrow. Arrow sum. Render arrow. I don't actually know which of these is getting called, which is also not good. So if I do this and have something like class name arrow bg, just call it arrow bg, background, arrow background. Like, I don't know if that actually renders correctly. I don't think it takes classes into consideration here. Class name, class name, class name. Class name undefined. I'm pretty sure I didn't undefine that here. Class name. Oh, come on, what's going on here? Arrow. So there's no class name here. We're definitely adding a class name. Is the class name not coming through on the options? Or is it getting overwritten somewhere? Ah, no, here it is thickness. What's going on here? I'm looking at render rect, not at... What the heck am I looking at here? This is not... Why am I looking at render rect? Render arrow. This is what I wanted. Oh, so class name here isn't being used at all, huh? So, okay, one of the problems here is that I think it's returning the child rather than the parent of the arrow structure. No, it's returning the G. All right, so if we do something like let G equal like that, and then we'll do G.className equal arrow BG. I think that works, right? Class. Like that. Okay. All right. All right. My God. And then we'll just do arrow BG. Stroke width 7px. Something like that. And fill red. Nope. Stroke width 5. Fill red. Stroke width. It says stroke width 5. I think that's given a hard coded thing. So if I say RBG path like that. Ah. Oh. Stroke. Ah, okay, here we go. And now it is affecting the arrowheads as well. But as we can see, because of the way the emitter works, the thickness doesn't affect the edges, right? So that's one of the issues. So we'd have to change how the line, the stroke capping works, right? So stroke line cap works how exactly? Stroke line cap. So we'd want to use this one. So stroke line cap square. Except that would be way too big because we're using butt before, and the square will not just be the thickness. We'll get this kind of effect. Oh man. So this is the not necessarily the best option. And if I do variable, what's it called? BG, body BG. All right. So if I do body BG like this, and then I'll put like something like this behind it, and I'll get rid of the outlines. It's not too bad. I mean, here basically we have the option between this or this, neither of which are going to be great. So everything has its little ups and downs here. I mean, it's something. The problem is it's not just about being visually, being helpful visually. It needs to look good, because if you're gonna play with it all the time, you don't want to be kind of distracted because it looks terrible. You know what I mean? And one other advantage is here we can modify the opacity because it's its own separate element, right? So we can just make the whole thing like that. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's definitely more subtle than the other option, right? And it'll scale much more neatly. The problem is now this only does these arrows. It doesn't do any lines. So we'd have to do the same thing for lines. And if we don't get the same butting at the ends, like rounded lines, it's a lot more of extra work. And adding and disabling it would basically remove basically if you're toggling the setting, you either have to go in there and dynamically remove all these elements, or you have just you have them always there and then you just make them visible or invisible. Yeah. I mean, it definitely looks better. I gotta say that. What was the other option? That I was experimenting with? I think I need to reload this, right? So if I go outlines and elements, no. Find filter. Yeah, so if I go back to 1. Yeah, I mean, it's massive. I don't understand why I can't just do 0.5 here. Or just 0.5, for example. Yeah, it doesn't like it at all. And if I have no units, yeah, it won't even... It will not listen to it as a valid value at all. And then 0.5, it just rounds it. Why does it just round it? Why does CSS round filter properties to the nearest whole pixel. I doubt ChatGPT knows. CSS filter pixel rounding. Oh. Hey. Well, I missed my time to leave. All right, I'm gonna undo this and then call it a day. So before, you know, anybody writes angry letters, just know that I'm quite unhappy with how it is. And I definitely think it needs to be improved. But I don't have an easy answer of how to improve it. And don't tell me I had a 0.5 in here. No. Didn't I just change that? Oh. Nope, didn't. Okay. Alright, I'm just gonna discard changes. Alright, that's it, guys. Time to take the dog out. Anyway, if you've got any ideas, any like, hey, why don't you try this? Feel free to send them into the web app feedback chat on Discord or via email on sven@svencodes.com. Or, you know, even better, join my Patreon and submit it there. That would be all super great. In the meantime, take care. Have a good day or rest of your evening. And, well, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye. And thanks for hanging out. Ooh, take care. Bye-bye.